Jasmine Crockett's reaction on ice didn't just command attention, it seized the entire room by the throat. From the instant she opened her mouth, you could feel the tension shift. The atmosphere tightened, lawmakers leaned forward, and even viewers watching later could sense that something explosive was coming, and it came fast. She didn't ease in. She didn't test the temperature. She dove straight into the fire with a force that felt like years of outrage condensed into one moment. Her delivery wasn't delicate or polished, it was pure emotion sharpened into a weapon.
Thank you, Representative Garcia. We'll now go to another member of the Judiciary and Immigration Subcommittee, Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas.
Thank you so much, Madam Ranker, and thank you so much to our amazing colleague, our amazingly strong colleague. I've heard so much, and I have prepared remarks, and if you know anything about me, you never know where I'm going. And frankly, I don't either, because I have already cried this morning. And, you know, so I'll just start here. As a civil rights lawyer, I'm incensed. As an American, I'm embarrassed. As a human, I'm infuriated. And as a member of Congress, I am immovable in my pursuit of accountability. You see, right now, people want to pretend as if this is right or left, but I'm here to tell you that this is about right or wrong. And it is very sad that the only people that are sitting here are members of the Democratic side. So I guess we just want to stand on the side of right. For once, we will be associated with being right instead of left. Because my question to any of you, and I just go down the line and ask you, is it right or wrong to arrest someone because of the color of their skin?
Absolutely not.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because of their accent?
Wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they were exercising their constitutional rights?
It is wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they simply disagree with you?
It's wrong.
All right, so it seems like y'all all went to elementary school and y'all can tell right from wrong. I'm not really sure what is going on with ICE right now, but I can tell you, and as we heard earlier, this is pure racism. I don't know why we want to tinker around with it and pretend as if it's something other than what it is. I like to call a thing. And he has told us time and time again who he was when he talked about certain people being from certain shithole countries. Those are his words. Only reason I'm cussing in this moment. When he said things like they are eating the cats and dogs. We knew exactly what we were getting. And some people are saying, I don't know how we got here, but I do. Because we know that dehumanizing, I believe that you said something to the effect of cruelty and humiliation are the point. That's what you said, Miss Patty. Because when we look at other places, say places that did things like, oh, you know, go door to door, looking for people, as they had to hide out, say in an attic. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Or the images that I have seen of people being attacked by law enforcement, whether we're talking about dogs or fire hoses, it seems very reminiscent of something that we have seen before in this country. And then people get offended and try to say I'm too black, but the reality is that y'all never let the fact that I am black go. So I'm going to be clear about one thing. I know my good black history. And so when I look and I say, and I will say it loud and proud because the DH secretary had a few choice words for me, but this looks like modern day slave patrols. And they have been sanctioned by this Supreme Court. Whoever thought we would live in a country that progress looks like having a Supreme Court that says, yes, it is okay to look at somebody or to listen to their accent and give permission to grab them. The last time that I checked, ICE is only supposed to be doing immigration enforcement. And right now we have a record number of U.S. citizens that have not only been arrested, but as we saw with Renee, that have been killed, that have been maimed, that have been bullied, that have been brutalized, that have been unlawfully arrested. Y'all, we are living with an abuser right now. That is who Trump and his administration is. And frankly, I think we all have a little bit of PTSD. But if you know anything about a domestic abuser, the one thing about them that you need to know is that they are some of the biggest cowards that you will ever find. What they can't stand is when you actually fight back. And so thank you so much for everybody in Minnesota But it is time for our entire country to stand together. Because if you don't recognize that we are all in the same sinking ship, whether you are black, white, Latino, African, whoever you are, the reality is that we have an administration that has decided that they are going to ignore our constitutional rights, and we will not stand for it. Otherwise, our democracy will fall. So I just got this to say because she is flanking
Thank
me.
you, Representative Crockett. We got some people that got to make some planes, so thank you so much.
And that's exactly why the clip has been replayed across social media like a warning siren. The first thing she revealed was that she had already cried that morning, not the kind of admission politicians usually make in a hearing, but there she was, honest, unfiltered, and unwilling to pretend this wasn't personal, because for her it was. As a civil rights lawyer, she said she was incensed. As an American, she felt embarrassed. As a human, she was infuriated, and as a member of Congress, she was immovable. Those four layers, lawyer, citizen, human, and lawmaker, stacked together like a declaration that what she was about to say wasn't coming from a political script. It was coming from experience, identity, and a lifetime of watching systems fail the people they're supposed to protect. But the emotion wasn't weakness, it was fuel. And she used it to drive straight into the heart of the issue. People pretend this is about the left versus the right, but the truth, she said, is that it's about right versus wrong. A moral line, not a political one. Then she pointed out something visually obvious but politically damning. Only the Democratic members were sitting there. Only one side had shown up. Not because they were perfect, but because, in her words, they were willing to stand on the side of right for once. She shifted the entire room's energy with a simple series of questions, questions so basic a child could answer them. Is it right or wrong to arrest someone because of the color of their skin? Wrong. To arrest someone because of their accent? Wrong. To detain someone because they exercise constitutional rights? Wrong. To arrest someone because they disagreed with you? Also wrong. One after another, witnesses affirmed the obvious, and that was the genius of her approach. Crockett didn't need complicated legal arguments. She didn't need statistics or charts. She forced everyone to admit the moral foundation first, then used that foundation to expose how ICE's behavior completely violated it. By the time she finished those questions, the audience knew where she was going, but they had no idea how far she was about to take it. She said plainly that she didn't know what ICE is doing, but she knew what it looked like, and she was done softening it. This is pure racism. Those four words hit harder than any long explanation ever could. Not disguised, not coded, not academic, just truth laid bare. And then she backed it up. She referenced public statements, derogatory language directed at entire nations, people described as primitive or subhuman, cultures mocked and reduced to caricatures. She didn't repeat the full phrases, but she didn't need to. Everyone in that room knew exactly what she meant. And she made one thing painfully clear: when powerful people use language that dehumanizes entire groups, the cruelty that follows is not surprising, it's predictable. That's when she invoked history, not as a metaphor but as a mirror. She talked about places where authorities once went door to door hunting for people who were forced to hide in attics to survive. She asked if that sounded familiar. She referenced images she'd seen recently of people being attacked by officers, images that echoed the civil rights era: dogs, fire hoses, brutality backed by authority. And she wasn't throwing these comparisons lightly. She was saying that what we're seeing now isn't new, it's old. And it's dangerous. Then she confronted another uncomfortable claim she's heard before: that she's too black, that she's too loud, too direct, too unapologetic in calling out racism. But she responded with a fact so simple it shut the argument down. The people criticizing her for being too black never once let her forget that she is black. They bring it up. They use it. They weaponize it. So yes, she's going to talk about black history, because it's impossible to understand what's happening today without understanding the legacy it's built on. And then came the line that detonated across every platform where this hearing was shared. This looks like modern-day slave patrols. No hesitation, no wavering. She said it with clarity so sharp it felt like the entire room froze for a moment. And she didn't say it to provoke. She said it because when a federal agency is given permission to stop people based on skin color or accent, when profiling is normalized, justified and rubber-stamped by courts, it echoes a system that once existed for one purpose: control. Control of movement, control of identity, control of freedom. She brought up the Supreme Court decision that effectively allows officers to consider appearance and accent when deciding who to detain. She asked the question no one wanted to answer: whoever thought this country would go backwards so far that such a ruling would stand? Whoever thought progress would mean regressing to a time when certain groups could be targeted simply because of how they looked or sounded? And that wasn't theoretical. She moved immediately to the consequences: real people, real lives, real harm. She pointed out that ICE isn't just sweeping up undocumented individuals, they're detaining citizens. A record number of U.S. citizens have been arrested, bullied, harmed and even fatally injured after being targeted by mistake. People who had the right to be here. People who should have never been approached, detained or touched in the first place. She pointed to Renee, a tragic example of someone who lost their life not because of wrongdoing, but because of misidentification and reckless enforcement. She listed what's been happening: people maimed, people intimidated, people brutalized, people traumatized, and all of this under an agency whose mandate, according to her, was supposed to be immigration enforcement, not a dragnet for anyone who looks like they might be from another country, and certainly not a force empowered to judge people based on appearance alone. Then she delivered one of the most gut-punching analogies in the entirety. We are living with an abuser right now. She described a pattern, an entity that uses fear to control, humiliation to subdue and chaos to keep people off balance. She said the entire country has a kind of PTSD from the constant threat of rights being ignored or stripped away. She compared ICE's tactics to those of domestic abusers: always unpredictable, always overreaching, always punishing anyone who speaks up. But she didn't stop at calling ICE an abuser. She said something even sharper: abusers are cowards, and the thing they hate most, the thing that terrifies them, is when people fight back. And that's why she thanked the people of Minnesota, because in the middle of this turmoil they refused to be silent. They pushed back, they showed courage, they stood up to intimidation in a way that forced the entire. Crockett's final message widened the lens from Minnesota to the nation as a whole. She said the country has reached a breaking point where every community, black, white, Latino, African and beyond, is sitting in the same sinking ship. If people don't stand together now, if they don't recognize that each violation of constitutional rights is a warning sign, then the entire system will collapse. Not suddenly, but gradually, piece by piece, until there's nothing left to protect anyone. She warned that ignoring what's happening today is the fastest way to lose democracy tomorrow. And she said it not as a prediction but as a guarantee, because a system that targets one group will eventually target others, and by the time people notice, it will be too late. Her remarks ended abruptly, not because she ran out of passion but because people literally had to catch flights. But the cutoff only emphasized how urgent her speech was. She didn't need more time. She delivered everything she needed to say in a single powerful burst: emotion, truth, outrage and a national wake-up call. What made the moment go viral wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. With vulnerability, fire, and conviction. With a voice that cracked at times but never faltered. With a message that was about more than policy, it was about humanity. People shared it because it felt like someone finally said out loud what millions have been thinking but afraid to articulate: that something is deeply wrong when a federal agency behaves like this, and pretending otherwise only enables the problem. Crockett didn't perform. She didn't posture. She confronted. And that's why her reaction became one of the most powerful moments to come out of this hearing. If you want breakdowns of explosive congressional moments, deep dives into political confrontations, and coverage you won't get in traditional clips, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and drop a like so more people see what's really happening behind these hearings. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need to hear them.